Hello, Slicey Dicers. This is Bryan with another knife review for you. Today, we have the Bestech Scimitar. This is my first Bestech, obviously first one on this channel. Very excited about it. This is a company I've heard a lot about from guys like, Love Them Knives. I think Kevin Cleary reviewed some Bestechs, and Zelric reviewed a lot of Bestechs, and was really excited to get my hands on one finally. This is on the lower end of their spectrum. They make knives in the $50 to $200 bracket. This is a $52 knife. As I said, this is the Scimitar, one of their more popular models. Bestech as a brand is fairly new in the United States, but they've been making knives for people for quite a while, according to their website, for over a decade. So they definitely seem to know what they're doing. This is a really well done knife, especially for 52 bucks. And it looks great. Don't think you can knock the looks of it. It's got that kind of Arabian sort of look to it with a trailing point blade. Yeah, trailing point. I always want to say trailing edge. Trailing point blade, full flat grind. I really like the really contoured handles. It's very comfortable in the hand, and they look cool. The G10's really nice. It's fairly slick, but it's got definitely a matte finish to it, so it's not super slick. All the hardware looks really nice. I like the Bestech logo here. It is free spinning, which is slightly annoying, but the Bestech logo does stick up enough that you can kind of grab a hold of it, so that works out well. You can still definitely adjust the pivot if you have to. I did not have to on this, but I like the look of the polished on most of the satin finish on most of the blade with this stone wash on the back part and on the flipper and down the fuller. I think that's cool. The little swedge on top looks nice. Somebody definitely put some thought into the design of this. The pocket clip looks awesome, but it's stylized without being crazy. It doesn't look like as the designer got paid by the hour. Like he was just trying to add little cuts here and there and stuff just to justify his paycheck. It looks pretty, but without being too crazy. The only thing I have, and this really does kind of break up the aesthetics, but the only aesthetic thing I have to complain about is, and this may just be me, but that font. Who chose that? On such a stylish, nice looking knife, and then you put that for the font? It looks like an MS-DOS font or something. I don't know where that even came from. Got a little oil coming out of there, which is not a bad thing. It's good when they come with that many. Because this is a ball bearing flipper, so it's nice to know that those bearings are well greased. Not a whole lot of miles on this, but I have been carrying it a lot more than I thought I would. I'll explain why shortly. Let's just get into the pure specs of this thing. This is a good sized knife. This is a pretty big knife. This is a 3.75-inch blade. Overall length of 8 and... I moved off my own notes. About 8.4 inches. Blade width of 1 inch. Blade thickness 0.13, and with that flat grind, you'd expect it to be a pretty good slicer, and it is. As I said, we have the flat grind there, like a handle length of 4.5 inches. The width of the handle is also pretty slim, only about an inch, and a weight of, according to my scales, 4.4 ounces, which is not terribly light, but for this large of a blade, not bad at all either, especially considering it's got full steel liners. They are a bit milled out. Let's see if we can get that on the camera there. Yep, you can see the speed holes in there. They are milled out to make it a little bit lighter. So it's not a lightweight by any means, but it's not crazy. 4.4 is all right for me for EDC, and that's kind of what this is. This isn't meant to be a super crazy, super heavy duty, going out in the woods for 6 days knife. This is meant to be more of an EDC kind of knife, and I think it does that. A stylish EDC knife. I think it does that pretty well. Let's compare it against some other stuff here. We've got my favorite ball bearing flipper lately, since these are kind of related. We have ZT 801 tie. Zero tolerance. Let's grab another ball bearing flipper. Oh, this is even more similar. The Wii 617. A little bit bigger. This is a full-on 4-inch blade, but same kind of thing. One of the lower end knives from a high-end Chinese knife company. Bestech's most expensive knives are about $200. Wii's most expensive knives, a lot more than $200. They make some pretty expensive stuff. This is about a $100 knife. And oh, here's something that's more kind of in the same price range, and also one of these kind of in the same thing of Chinese higher end flippers. ZKZ Stedman D01. It's a little bit bigger also. And let's do some kind of standards here. We have Benchmade 940. About the same blade length, but obviously a much smaller knife in every other dimension. And one of our usuals, I've kind of buried it in other knives. You have your Spyderco Paramilitary 2. I think that's enough. Don't you think that's enough? I think that's enough. No, it's not enough because I don't have this out very much lately anymore. My Manix 2 and M4 that I just oiled the blade, obviously, because it's leaking out everywhere. It got back in there and it's leaking out again. I keep this thing pretty well oiled because I don't want to get any rust on it. I actually used it the other day, so anywho. So that's the overall specs. Let's talk about the quality of it, though. It is very well made. I am very impressed. The blade centering. Again, remember, this is a $52 knife. This is not expensive. Blade centering's perfect. All the shiny bits that are supposed to be shiny are shiny. The lockup, I'm looking at about what? We're going to call that 40%. Super solid. No movement whatsoever. If you're getting one of these Chinese flippers, one of the things you want about it is that the deployment is usually awesome. And this one is, the Chinese guys with these bearing flippers, man, they've got it down. Some of these are just amazing. And this one is really, really good. $52 and it just flips out like that. No effort whatsoever. Totally fall shut. I don't think I've ever unsuccessfully deployed this knife since the moment I took it out of the box. It's broken in a little bit, but even out of the box, it was great. The only tiny little complaint I have about the deployment is when you do close it, you can't, I don't know if you guys can hear it. I have my fan running in the background, so maybe you won't be able to hear it, but listen closely. Did you hear that? You get that little bit of from the bearings. I think that's just because they're ceramic bearings. I've in the bicycle industry, we did a lot with ceramic bearings, and some of them do make some noise. They still run great, still work great, but sometimes they do make a little bit of noise. I think that's just ceramic bearing noise. I'm okay with that. The detent is really good. It doesn't bounce back out, when you close it. Sometimes really fall shutty stuff, when you slam it shut, it'll kind of bounce back a little bit. This doesn't do that at all. Love the deployment on this thing. Very fun to play with. It's probably like my second or third favorite knife to play with right now, behind like the Cut Jack and the M390, and then that Kaiser Vanguard's Dukes that I have. Kaiser, another company that makes stuff a lot like this. The deployment is superb, as are the ergonomics. This was one of my favorite things about this. When I got it out, the first thing I do is I take a knife out, open it and close it a few times, and then I grab it. It's just like I grab it and just squeeze it like way harder than I'm ever actually going to. No hot spots whatsoever. Love this little cutaway. It is right hand tip up only. Sorry, lefties. And the handle is definitely contoured for right hands. But I love the feel of it. It's really good. That G10 has just enough traction that you're not going to move around a whole lot. I wouldn't call it grippy, but you have that nice choil up there. There's some good jimping up there. Still, if you're stabbing into something, I don't think you're going to have a problem with your hand moving around too much. Yeah. The blade is excellent. D2 steel. I think I may have already said there's knives that cost 4 times as much. They have D2 steel, so you can't really complain about that. My fingers are oily. That's why this isn't that fingerprinty. I just have oily fingers right now, so it's getting them all over the place. But great steel. I like the shape of the blade. It's got a good flat on it, and then plenty of belly from that trailing point. It is a full flat grind, like I said. We're not going to do any cutting tasks because I was unprepared. What do I have? Oh, I do have some cardboard here. We'll do that. I'm unprepared with a proper piece of paper to cut, but I'll do some cardboard. Yeah, it's pretty good. I mean, is it... Oh, I didn't have that locked down very well. I mean, is it as good as, like, the Manix 2 here? No, but it's pretty good. And this isn't like, this is not a heavy duty knife. This is a stylish EDC. If I haven't said that before, I'm saying it again. So, yeah. It's a stylish EDC, and I think it works very, very well for that. And it's almost, other than it's the size of the blade, it's almost also a really good gentleman's knife because it carries superbly well, I have to say, in the pocket with that nice deep carry pocket clip. And if you look at it, I know this is kind of upside downy, but imagine it's down in my pocket. You're reaching past it. There's nothing sharp to grab. The flipper doesn't stick out too terribly far, and it's kind of hidden by the shape of this handle and stuff. Oh man, this thing carries really, really well. Was really surprised how much I was grabbing it lately. I do a little radio or little TV show, and sometimes, I'm sitting behind a thing, nobody's going to see it, but still, I don't like to carry a flashy knife when I'm doing that. And I grabbed this for it, and it's perfect for that. Like, no one's ever going to see it. Nobody's going to say anything. I can get up and shake hands with a guest. Nobody's going to notice. Yeah, it carries so well. The ergonomics are great. The deployment is so much fun. And it's $52, guys. I mean, the only downside with companies like this, and this even goes for Kaiser and Wii and all the other much more expensive of these Chinese kind of companies, is the warranty is always iffy. You don't know what's going to happen if it breaks. You may have to send it back to China. That's not going to be cheap. You may just get no response at all. I've never heard of that happening, but it's possible. Because they are on the other side of the planet, and there's not, somebody here in America that's taking care of it. So that's something you got to think about. But $52 for D2 steel and very beautifully well done G10 and ceramic ball bearings. I don't know how you can go wrong with this thing, man. Unless you just don't like the look of it. And if you don't, Bestech makes a lot of other knives in that $52 price bracket. They make a ton of them. I got this one because it looked kind of flashy, and I thought it looked pretty cool. But check out Bestech. I do have to say, this is not going to be the last Bestech that I review for sure. I'm certain that I'll get other ones. I was that impressed with it, and I will buy them if I must. So, yeah, very happy with this. I'm interested to try, if they're $52 knives are this good, I'm interested to try one of the $200 ones. Like, that must be amazing. Same with Wii. Like, I really like the 617. That's one of their cheap ones, and like to try the more expensive ones. So, yeah, this has left me wanting more. So I can't wait to try out another Bestech. And I highly suggest, if you're looking for a knife in this kind of price bracket, recommend. 2 thumbs up. Very cool knife. I've been Bryan. Hope you enjoyed this. Have a good one.